All right. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our list of things to do is approval of the agenda. Are there any suggested changes to the agenda that's been circulated? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as submitted. Next item is approval of minutes. And I'm not sure exactly how we're supposed to deal with this, but it looks like discussion and direction regarding meeting minutes preparation process. Are we gonna chat about that this evening now, or are we gonna do it at the end of the meeting when the rest of the audience doesn't have to suffer through it?
If the ZBA would like to postpone that item to the end of the agenda, we can certainly do so, but it'll probably be 20-minute conversation or so.
Well, that's what I think.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this portion of the agenda until after public comments have been received at item 7.
Support. Smith.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll move that down. The next item on our agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. Have any of you come to talk to us about anything that you don't see on our agenda this evening? Since nobody has anything, we can move on to action items. Item number 1 is ZBA petition 26 ZBA 005. The applicant is Bruce Donovan Construction, and it's for the property at 9109 McGregor Road, Pinckney. Does anybody have any conflict of interest or ex parte contact that needs to be discussed? Hearing none, we'll assume there was none. We're ready for staff presentation.
Good evening, Zoning Board of Appeals and members of the public. Today we have before you a request to demolish the existing single-family home at 9109 McGregor Road and to construct a new 2-story single-family home with a detached garage on the adjacent parcel. The applicant here today is requesting 5 variances from the zoning ordinance. Looking at the property, it's comprised of 2 parcels, one improved with a single-family residence, the other is vacant. When combining the 2 parcels, it comes out to approximately 9,391 square feet in size. The property is zoned Lakes Residential. All the surrounding properties are under the same zoning designation, all with a future land use designation of Lakes Residential. So on June 1st, 2026, Bruce Donovan with Bruce Donovan Construction submitted a major zoning permit application to the planning department for the demolition of the single-family home and for the construction of a 2-story single-family home that's 1,638 square feet and a 1,040 square foot detached garage. Upon my review, it was determined that the proposal does not remain within the original footprint of the existing legally non-conforming structure. And the application proposed additional height over non-conforming portions of that original footprint. The proposed garage also encroached into setbacks required under the current ordinance. As such, there's the need for 5 variances tonight. For For the detached garage specifically, the applicant's requesting a front yard setback for accessory buildings, a variance for width of the proposed accessory building. Moving on to the principal dwelling, they're requesting a front yard setback, front yard setback and 2 side yard setbacks. So looking at the proposed garage, there is a requirement of a 20-foot setback from both Robert and Russell Drive. The applicant is proposing a 14-foot setback from Roberts Drive, thus encroaching into that front yard setback by 6 feet. When looking at the width of the accessory building, the applicant's requesting a 26 by 40 foot wide accessory building. The township zoning ordinance only permits a 24-foot wide accessory building for this lot. When looking at the principal structure or the proposed single-family home, there is a 25-foot required front yard setback from Russell Drive. The applicant is proposing a 12-foot setback from Russell Drive, thus requiring a 13-foot variance. Looking at the side yard setback requested from the northern property line specifically, there's a 7-foot setback requirement. The applicant is requesting a 6-foot setback. For the southern property line, it's the same situation, 7-foot setback. The applicant's requesting a 2-foot setback. All other dimensional requirements are being met with this proposal, other than those 5 variances I listed now. And looking at what's existing and what's being proposed, I want to dive into that a little bit. Currently, as a house sits now, it's 1 foot 4 inches from Russell Drive for a front yard setback. They're proposing a 12-foot setback, moving the house further away from the roadway. For the northern property line, it's currently a 5 foot 4 inch setback. They're proposing a 6-foot setback. For the southern property line, it's a 0-foot setback. It's directly on the property line, but the applicant's pushing it back 2 feet. It did not include the garage because it doesn't exist currently. However, it does encroach into the front yard setback and requires a width variance as well. I did include, of course, the plans and aerial images, as well as photographs from the property showing its existing conditions. The applicant is also in the audience today, and it would be appropriate to have them come up and introduce their project and why they're requesting these variances tonight. I'm also available to answer any questions you may have about the proposal.
Does anyone have any questions of the Director of Planning and Zoning before we hear from the petitioner? I think we're ready to hear from the petitioner.
Yeah, the other setback is the lake side. We're improving that from 23 feet to 35 feet, so we're trying to improve that too. So, I mean, the lot is extremely narrow, and you can see the situation there. But my understanding, and he can tell me, the reason we all of a sudden had, we were kind of better in every side, but we went a 2-story. To the whole length, where the house right now has only a half 2-story, so we did increase the second level a little bit. But by doing that, that's what kind of helped us get off the road more, get from the lake, which the lake I think is going to benefit the neighbor, who's going to have better sight view. The road sides definitely, your neighbors are going to be able to turn easy. I mean, we was only 1 foot 4 off the corner there, so I just feel like we're better on every side. The garage on the other side, I know we're going to a 14-foot Roberts Drive. I know we got two fronts there. Roberts Drive is it's a very small easement. It's a one car at a time. It's not got two traffic going two ways, so we're not gonna have it. It's not a typical front, a road on the front yard. I mean, where you're having traffic going both ways. So I don't feel like it's gonna harm anybody or, cause any trouble with anybody else in the neighborhood. Doesn't block anybody's sight or anything for turning on McGregor or anywhere else. To me, there's no hazardous issues with that. And just the nature of having that Russell Drive split through the middle of the lot, creates all these extra frontages that we're trying to fight on a naturally small lot already. So I think, other than going that extra height, and it was my understanding, if we didn't do that, we almost didn't need a variance for that, right? So just going that extra level on part of the house, all of a sudden created the 5 variances, or except for the garage one, separate lot, but other than that, just, I don't know what else. You got anything you want to say, or no? As the owner, so. Other than that, I just felt like we tried to better every side, which we did. We bettered every side on the proposed house, and neighbors will have it better, right? Yeah. So, other than that, leave it to you guys.
Questions for Mr. Donovan? No questions for Mr. Donovan?
I have a question. If we were to grant these variances that you request, why could we not require that the first 20 feet on the parcel to the east be left unimproved, except for the possibility for parking, because there's no place for visitors or other people to park?
You're talking on the garage lot?
I'm talking about the lot behind
Yeah, this one right here. So the first, you're talking the east, the first 20 feet here
yeah,
for parking?
the first
Yeah.
20 feet at least of that thing,
Yeah.
that parcel.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. There's also parking here.
I'm just thinking about how people who would arrive there, what they would do. What they're either gonna try to park in Roberts, or they're gonna try to park somewhere else. And the somewhere else is what I'm concerned about. That at least the first 20 feet of that parcel, the lot to the east,
So what are you saying? Just make this for parking here.
be,
You
be left unimproved,
know, so basically.
be left unimproved except for the convenience of the parking area.
Oh, you got at least that. Yeah.
That would be agreeable to everybody.
Yeah, so don't put it, you're not gonna put anything here. prove
You
it.
might have more space, but at least
Yeah.
that,
Just say it's overflow parking from your driveway. Yeah.
There's nothing going there,
Right.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Corners.
Yeah.
You don't want to put a tree in the middle.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it anyway. I just spot on the edge of the building.
Just keep it from your sight distance.
Yeah.
Block sight.
Oh,
So my question is, you're the one who designed the building?
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason that projection to the south
The
is
sunroof.
the sunroom is a necessary element that couldn't have been made smaller or non-existent in order to deal with your side setback issues?
Okay, so, yeah, and it was just a preference of his not to have it on the back, so when he's looking out the lake, he's gotta look through the sunroom, you know. Then also trying just to help the neighbor out, you know, from sight distance, you know. We figured that area, I know you're right, I understand what you're saying. We could approve the sides by that, but, you know, that's pretty much just a walkway easement to the lake, so.
I understand, I just, but without that sunroom on the south side of the house, you could fit the whole house between the 7-foot side yard
That was just more of a,
setback requirements.
that was just more of a.
An
he would rather
aesthetic,
have-
an
rather
aesthetic
than-
decision,
Yeah,
but it could be done.
yeah, I guess it could be done, yeah, he was wondering if we put this on the back.
And maybe not exactly in that same shape, just in a way
Yeah,
that,
then you could fix both sides.
I think that's what I like better about this, gives you an area for a patio,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, so it was more of a design, you know, we'd like a little patio,
preference.
more backyard,
yeah,
so that was. A lot of it was given more back, he said he'd like more backyard.
okay, but you could in fact figure out a way to fit that sunroom in without putting it on the south side as a bump out.
Yes, yeah, there was more of a design feature to get more
Okay,
rear yard.
any other questions of,
Which, pushing it over there, I mean, right there, no neighbors affected by it, you know, where it's at, where if we put it on the back, then it becomes a site. thing for the neighbor.
now, when you say put it on the back, if you put it
I'm
on
talking the
the
lakeside.
lakeside,
Lakeside.
are you now gonna be encroaching into the 35?
Well, so the
setback?
old house was 23 feet away from.
No, I understand that, but it would mean that you'd be asking for a variance on that side if you move it to that side of the home.
Create variance, yeah,
Yeah, because right now you're meeting the 35-foot minimum
yeah.
with the proposed home.
So we fixed that lakeside setback at the cost of the side yard setback, but we actually improved the side yard setback.
Okay.
too. So if we kept it back there.
And
then we would need the variance.
you couldn't figure out a way to get him his sunroom kind of within the
No.
35-foot
Oh, yeah,
setback.
no. Cause we wanted to get off the road too, just.
Oh, yeah, you didn't want to still be right up against the road, okay.
Someone comes a little, you know, and you can see even the way Russell Drive, how it angles back, you know, so it's a extra sharp turn. So we just feel real comfortable with it, bedroom right in the very front, you know.
Okay.
And comes at night and side swipes it. But
Any other questions for the applicant?
I do have, I'll try and keep it to a few. Just a question also then regarding this, the 3-season room. In the drawings, it looks similar to the rest of the house. So how is it constructed so that it is 3-season rather than a fully insulated, occupied, tempered type of space other than the crawl that's underneath it?
yeah, so that right there, I mean, the whole plan, you weren't gonna heat that, right? You're just screen room that you might be able to put glass, you know, like, I used to change, you know, a screen door, you put the glass in the screen or something, so.
Okay, because we always have to be concerned about, is it a space that, although intended to be 3-season right now, at some point in the future, someone comes and changes it?
Right.
And
Right now I have it as,
which then comes to because it is so enclosed that if you do put glass on and you have crawl space underneath, all of a sudden moisture issues, you know, things like that. So just making sure that the design itself is incorporating airflow things along those lines, because that also is what makes it feel more transparent to everybody outside, and away from the building. A screened porch just feels different than a very large, I'm not going to call it a
Getting at
bay
is
room.
when it's screened, people here it still seem more open, like it's not encroaching as much on the land as if you were to then close it all off, so they just don't want to keep that as a screen porch.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, I mean, we can mark it on the plans, screen porch.
Yeah, I mean, it's labeled as 3 seasons. It's
Yeah.
just making sure that we understand and through this process that it is intended to be a
Yeah.
season space and
Yeah.
it doesn't change, down the road. The other question I had, although this may be, are we addressing garage now or is this just the
We
primary?
can do both. Yeah.
Okay, so sort of a similar question on the garage. When we look at the exercise space, again, it's tempered, has a sink, has a toilet. It becomes really close to an apartment. So, what is the difference that keeps this as just a functional space rather than living space?
Oh, it's, well, there's no ovens, laundry, there's no, I mean, it's just a bathroom. He likes to do,
Pancakes.
he likes to finish antiques and
Mhm.
just that on the side that he does, and just doesn't want to have to run to the house or
Yeah.
go to the bathroom.
Okay. And then the parallel question, so you're within 2 feet of being compliant on the setbacks. So why did it need to be larger? I read through sort of your answer and I didn't quite get it. Clear understanding.
So the question is, why not go to 24 feet? I guess just it's every lake lot, everybody wants, more stuff they gotta store, so 24 also, I mean, affects how much storage he has up above, but I mean. Again.
I'd like for the space of there.
Yeah.
You bring in big pieces.
So, yeah, I guess, again, the answer would be, I guess that desiring more space. I guess.
Understood. Nope, and that's a valid reason. That's why these come up in front of us. And then I apologize, Fletcher. I should have asked this when you were presenting. A lot is technically, because it's an end lot, does it actually have 3 frontages, 3 front sides, or is it still just 2? Because it faces McGregor.
So I had to look at this for an extremely long time, but when looking at all the definitions for lots and lot lines, myself and the consultants determined that I only had 2 front lot lines and then a rear. The rear being McGregor, and a side being the northern property line.
Okay, and
Why
for,
is McGregor not a front?
So let me just pull up the definition real quick. Let's see. So looking at front lot line, it's a line separating the lot from any street right of way, private road, or other access easement. Corner lots and through lots shall have 2 front lot lines. 2, and then looking at the diagrams supporting these lot lines, there's no scenario in which a lot has 3. So staff and consultants made the
Decided
call.
that was a limitation that was built into the definition. They weren't warning you that, look, this lot has 2 has 2, okay,
And it's a very,
Opposite, of course.
I'm sorry,
I think it's the opposite.
yeah.
They're telling them it's got to have, at least, really, what they really mean is it's
It
got
must
at
have
least.
at least 2
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
more open.
So anyway,
but
that's how lawyers
in
make their living.
any
That's what you
event,
fight about that on
and
both
this
sides.
is a very unique
yeah,
lot. The neighbor just to the north has the same situation with their detached garage. I have not seen this example anywhere other than this neighborhood
Okay,
in the township.
it's an unusual arrangement, no question.
So with that, do we know what the McGregor side setback would be? I mean, it appears generous.
Yep, I can give you that right now.
In other words, if we're moving towards approving this project, we would want to make sure that we're considering everything and not leaving one hanging.
So for McGregor Road, the minimum front yard setback would be 50 feet.
Okay. We're not at 50. Are we?
At 44.
44 feet.
44 in the long. Do we need to be addressing that?
If this group thinks that staff's interpretation that doesn't
Oh.
satisfy this specific scenario, we could postpone and request an additional variance for a front yard.
Okay, but
Setback.
to back up, the interpretation being that there's only two that we have to consider, and that is what's then before us tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
But if he's ruled, that's the ruling unless someone appeals it, it seems to me, right? So
Yeah.
it's sort of, I wouldn't say it's binding, but what he says is what controls what we say unless someone appeals his decision.
Yep. Okay, and then I didn't ask the other question, impervious area, is that anything we need to be considering this evening?
The applicant does exceed the 20% threshold, which would require a stormwater management plan to be submitted to my office for review. Looking at the coverages, I'll give you that percentage. So right now, for building coverage, you're allowed to cover 30% of the lot area for all impervious surfaces, so buildings and paved surfaces. You can cover 45% of the property. Right now, the applicant's proposing 28% coverage for buildings, 35% for buildings and impervious surfaces. Just so members of the public understand how this works, any project exceeding 20% lot coverage needs to submit a stormwater management plan, my office for review. The plan needs to be able to capture an inch rainfall event via rain gardens or rain barrels. So the applicant would need to demonstrate to us that their stormwater systems can capture all of that water during a 1-inch rain event.
That's all my questions.
Is that over a certain amount of time, or is that each of that one?
I'll get back to you on that.
Yes.
I'll get back to you.
There you go. Any other questions for the applicant or for the Director of Planning and Zoning?
I have a question of Fletcher. If this applicant, the present ordinance freezes the rights of legally non-conforming structures to placement on existing foundation, were that not to be true, how would what they propose to do exceed the restrictions on legally non-conforming structures?
Sure. So
Certainly not the front yard.
right. So as the plans show and what the applicant has told you all this evening is that they are reducing side yard setbacks, water body setbacks, and front yard setbacks. However, our non-conforming structure ordinance prohibits additional height over those non-conforming sections. So they're still encroaching into current standard setbacks. Even though they're making it better in a sense, they're still making that encroachment just going up in height. If the applicant were to tear the whole house down today and rebuild it exactly as is, so single story for half of the home and then a second story portion on the backside of the home, they could do so without going through this process. It's the additional height that's triggering all of this, as well as the garage encroachment and width.
Any other questions for the applicant or for Fletcher? I think we're all set. It moves us along to our, oh, no, it's not. No, we're not set. We're done with you, but we're ready for public comment on this. Is there anyone here that would like to address us on this particular request? All right, take a moment and come on up. Tell us your name. Make sure that the mic is turned on and let us know your thoughts.
It is now, I guess. My name is Rod Ditmar. I live at 9115 McGregor Road, which is the property adjacent to the proposal in front of. I don't know how many of you have been out to actually see this property or not. So we have similar sized lots with frontage on Portage Lake. They're 45 by 100 feet long with single family dwelling on those front lots. The back lots are what I'm kind of concerned with. I have a 22 by 24 accessory building, otherwise known as a two-car garage on my lot, and his lot is empty. The concern I have is in the 43 years I've lived there, those two lots have flooded big time when we get a rainstorm. And I have some pictures here, if anybody wants to see them, with the quantity of water that it accumulates on both that lot and my lot. So my concern is you had a 1,200 plus square foot of impermeable surface to that lot. Where's all that water gonna go? I don't want it going over towards me. I've already been there and done that with a previous renovation of that house. And I was assured by the contractor and the owner and everybody else that it would affect me at all. But all those assurances, the only thing they did was put a big dent in my bank account when I had to spend a lot of money to fix what all that water came my way. So that's my concern. One of my other neighbors is here, and it's his concern as well too about that lot and the quantity of water. So I mean it's massive, and I don't think well, I'm no engineer, but a couple of E-Tros going down to the ground on that garage isn't going to address that.
Can you tell us what you were required to do to deal with extra water coming your way?
Pardon me?
And you said you spent a fair amount of
Oh my
money.
gosh, yes, yeah.
Can you tell us what you had to do?
I had raised my carport floor 5 inches. We had to regrade our portion of the driveway. And this kind of stemmed from her being able to add footprint to her, when she remodeled the house. And then she paved her part of the driveway of Russell Drive. So all the water, she wasn't required to put any underground drainage on that new footprint. And all that water, guess where it went? So I actually built a dam across Russell Drive to keep that water from coming my way. It looks like a speed bump, but it's a lot of water. So
Thank you.
that's where we're at. And I don't know if anybody else had or but anybody wants to say anything, but that's our concern.
Okay,
That's a big concern.
all right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
In fact, we have another commenter.
It's a little bit more of the same. Hi, my name is Pat Went. I live at 9105 on the south side, so I've got that nice 20-foot easement between my house and what he's got going. I don't like the idea of a 0 foot setback, but it really doesn't affect me anyway. But the big thing I want to just reiterate is my concern about the water. My house was built in 1939. My big garage was built in 1939. It's up by McGregor Road. And it doesn't flood right now at all. So I definitely am worried about where's the water gonna go? I heard about an inch. Well, we had way more than an inch recently. And those are those rainstorms are the thing that I'm worried about. You know, where's that water gonna go? If there's a plan for that, I'm thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also at 9115 McGregor Road, with Rod Dittmar and Rachel Bender, and, I just want to say, if I'm understanding the sunroom correctly, I'm actually in support of the plan that they have, because, as it is now, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, they're actually, giving us a little bit of space, at the end of their house, or what would be the end of the house, relative to us on that southern exposure. And if they were to, extend that house out and build up, we're not gonna see the light of day, on that side of the house. And, I think that will take some value out of our house. I have plants on that side of the house. If I understand the
Yeah.
plans, okay, I support it.
Can I go?
Point.
So the black line is the existing house.
Yeah,
Red is.
yeah, so we're gaining, that's actually, that plan is, we're in support of that, because it helps us, actually.
Okay.
Can I maybe set them at ease on the water?
By all means.
I build a lot of houses on the lake all around, and the one thing you can't do. And I'm a big fan of it, you can't shove your water to the other people, you gotta take care of your own water on your lot. And so we talked about, hey, you're gonna have to keep, any water that comes in yours, you can't send it to the neighbors. So we understand that, and that's part of the water.
And it's an ordinance standard as well.
Yeah, I mean, so any of that garage surface that's you're gonna say now the water can't go where that garage is. I understand that, and we've had long conversations that, we've got to direct that water, show the flow going to the lake or whatever, take care of that. Sometimes we've done pits, fill it with stone so the water can absorb down, but yeah, that's part of the water line, that they'll do, they'll take care of it. But on that token too, there are times when you're building a new house and you got an existing lot. And I've had things where the existing lot that the neighbors are complaining, there's already low, and it's their own water that's actually going on there too. We will contain the water that's on our lot to make sure it doesn't get to you. So that's part of that plan, and that we'll have an engineer, a registered engineer design that plan, so.
Thank you. Anyone else here who'd like to address us on this variance request?
Anyone more comments?
Of course.
The water, I mean. He says they'll take care of it, right? I've already been there and done that with a previous contractor who said, oh, we'll take care of that, so. I don't put a whole lot of stock that when somebody says, oh, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it, it won't come your way, so I'm just saying. They would let you solve on that.
Okay,
Without a guarantee, something in writing.
any other comments? I think we're ready for our deliberations, folks.
If I may, I direct one more question over
Yeah.
Fletcher. Fletcher, for the impervious water and stormwater plan, when you have a scenario like this where it's two lots separated by a public right of way, does each lot have to address its own water? Or how do we handle movement of water from one lot to another if there's a public right of way in between?
So each lot would need to have their own system in place to capture the water. But the calculation would be based on both lots combined.
Okay, and in that case, because it sounded a little to me like in this scenario, the landowners are actually taking care of that public right of way. But again, being a public right of way, would that area count into their calculation, or is the calculation only the two lots?
Only the two lots. It is interesting that roadway was recently paved. When I went back through the street view images on Google, it was a dirt road only a couple years ago. The pavement that you see now is relatively new and fresh, and that certainly does not help for runoff purposes.
Okay.
This.
Do the records at all show how that got paved?
There are ways, like I know what he's saying, where the water, how do you get the water from the room out? We've done buildings too where there were no ways to do that, so to take care of the surface, we actually directed the water back under the building. We put a big layer of pea stone under the slabs and then that you don't lose that square footage of water retainage area. I think you know what I'm saying. Webster Township will do that sometimes. Say, hey, dig a hole, get it, and then we've actually done it under it. And it doesn't hurt the foundation because that has to have helical piers anyway. So we can direct water back under the slab. So we don't lose that square footage of absorption.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. To be honest, that was one of the thoughts that was going through my head about the sunroom.
Yeah.
Because of the fact,
I was gonna do that with the sun, that piece stone.
yeah, and because it's not slabbed
Right.
like the rest of the house, then yes, that becomes an option. And I keep the side notes. I do wish we were back when when the stormwater plans were part of the review, because it just really helps to make this type of a decision to understand the impacts that a structure would have or the requested variances. Because really all we can evaluate is the variances that are being asked for. And since in this scenario, we're looking at a new structure on an undeveloped lot, that would be nice. But no, thank you for that answer. It's good to know.
Thoughts? Anybody have anything they want to say about this particular variance? Or should we just start through our,
I just want to speak briefly. If I may.
yes, by all means.
I will definitely be opposing the variance for the garage. I don't see how it meets virtually any of the criteria needed to meet granted variance. And if anyone's inclined to support it, I'd like to hear how it's the minimum necessary to be able to use the lot in a reasonable way. It's an already overcrowded area down there by the lake. And we're gonna grant a variance to let someone build a bigger building because he wants a bigger building there. I don't understand how it qualifies.
So is your opposition not only to the width, but also proximity to the private street?
The size of the garage or accessory building should be what is allowed
I
by.
understand that. I just
Okay.
meant, yeah, I didn't know if you also opposed the putting it closer to the private grove.
If in order to build it legally, size-wise, he would find the necessity to do that.
No, I don't think that, I don't think that's why it's there, but but that's one of the requested variances is can I put this within 14 feet of the street instead of 20 feet of the street?
Yes. And if you shrunk the building, I don't know what the,
Well, the shrinkage is gonna be side to side. It doesn't deal with because the 26 to
I see
24.
I see what you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I guess my question still is, are you concerned about the fact that he wants to be only 14 feet off the private street instead of 20?
Not as much as the
Okay.
overall size of the garage.
I would concur with Peter. And my concern was the 24 versus 26.
Yeah,
That is a lot of what we do is try to figure out ways to move things or get things to fit within setbacks. And in terms of increasing the size of something, more than what that 24-foot width is, I have a difficult time in this situation. And that is before I even heard everything about the rainwater.
Yes.
That actually doesn't even factor into
right.
the issue that I have with this. I'm trying to identify a practical difficulty. The township, when they amended the ordinance, took this into account, the width of the lot, the size of the lot. So I'm struggling to overrule them on this, overrule what the ordinance says and to,
Yeah,
allow that to go through.
okay. How do you feel about the other requests?
I'm okay with the other requests. Again, this is a situation where the lot is small, much smaller than what is the minimum size for this area, this zoning area. Again, if you were to take 2 feet off, they can wiggle it in there. If I had to get one, pull one from the other, so to speak, I don't mind that they are as close to the road as they are. I don't mind that they're as close to the other building as they are, but that's not, and as close to the front yards as they are, the front lot lines as they are. It's more or less just the size. I think our esteemed now retired member, Jay Holland, used to say a lot about massing, and this is a massing concern.
Okay,
So I'm not gonna get on the massing soapbox, but
okay. Tom, do you have any thoughts that you want to share before we go through our criteria?
Not at this time.
Okay. John, you want to tell us your thinking?
So I had a apology, one more question. Someone may actually know the answer for this. For the adjoining, this is regarding the garage. The adjoining garage, do we know how far back from the road it is? In other words, does the proposed garage relative to Russell Drive align with it? Or is it actually further away from Russell than the existing garage is even? When I was out there, I eyeballed it, but I don't remember where it's the existing garages are
Yeah.
closer to Russell.
you can, Sean, on page 11 of your packet, there's a photograph there, and you can kind of see the stake for the end of the garage in that photograph.
Yeah, I was just having a hard time with the foreground.
Okay.
So I went out there and I would say it's pushed back a little further than that current garage. I went out there to measure the building to building setback to ensure that met the 10-foot requirement, which it did. But I didn't take a measurement of the two from Russell.
Okay. Because what I'm wondering in my head academically, again, we can only review the proposal that's in front of us. But if the garages were aligned, what does that do to, well, the massing?
Right.
Because that's the only word I can come up with there, the massing. The reason I say that is just in the big picture, fundamentally, I concur with these ideas that we're trying to keep structures within the buildable footprints. And so what exactly is the buildable footprint on this lot, knowing that we can ignore the 40-foot off of McGregor? So realistically, then what becomes the building footprint? And one of the things people often put in front of us is the concept of aligning with the existing structures. So if we were looking at that as the western edge of the buildable footprint, what does that become? And then is what is being proposed, could it fit within there? We know it can't within the south side. We already know that's a couple feet off. But just in terms of the whole east-west positioning, then does it become buildable?
Well,
Not buildable, sorry,
Yeah.
but
the applicant were to comply with the width requirements, maximum width requirements, so a 24 by 24 garage, they would increase their setback from McGregor significantly. However, the setback to the southernmost road would still need to be addressed.
Right.
In that situation, I believe they'd still need to come before you.
So now, what you just said confused me. The only variance they're asking for the garage is from 24 feet wide to 26 feet wide, right? They don't need a variance for the length of the garage, do they?
My apologies. So the width is the front face of.
Okay,
of the
so it's just
garage.
front base, and so the
yeah.
garage doesn't require that it be only 24 feet long.
So
So that's the distance back to McGregor, and it's not really impacted by this issue.
that's correct. So if they reduced the front width where the main garage door is to 24, it would still be 16 feet away from Roberts Drive, thus requiring the same setback variance.
Right, okay.
and there is a request off of Roberts. also.
Right.
So we're looking at Roberts on the west of the garage,
Right, and then, yeah,
the other one to the south. Okay.
okay,
And then in general, with the house, similar to everyone else, I'm comfortable with the requests there,
okay.
especially because of the reduction in area. Sounds like they've done what they can to help address the neighboring houses as much as is possible. I always question a height request because again, playing with a little bit of slopes, knowing that height of the roof is what's tied to the required setback, is there a way in the math to make that work just by changing the pitch, all of a sudden being able to be there? But I know they're close when it comes to that, just looking at the E lines. And I haven't heard any concerns regarding the heights. And therefore massing on the house. And I think that's probably because they're reducing the feel of the massing. It sounds like really the concerns are more focused on the garage side.
I changed my mind. I
You wish to
have something
comment?
to say.
Please.
As the use of homes have evolved, we found that we couldn't be comfortable unless we had air conditioning. We have found that we can't be comfortable unless we have two places to put cars inside. And you can certainly plan on not parking the wife's car outside. Now, these people could have built the garage across the road. But unfortunately, a lot of women have felt very uncomfortable moving from a detached garage to a house. They feel exposed and vulnerable. And that's men's fault, really. And so they could have put it all on one floor if they moved the garage. But that's not reasonable because women have to be comfortable living too. So you'll put a second floor up so you can put the garage as part of the house.
I think they're eliminating the garage as part of the house, and the whole garage that they're relying on now is the garage across the road. I believe that their proposed plan makes the garage that is part of the house go away.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
But in doing that, they had to have a second floor for some more space for living.
I think that okay,
And that's a reasonable thing.
okay. Any other thoughts before we start through our criteria? All right, so folks, we got a lot of questions to be answered. I'm gonna need 5 answers from everyone. Unless people are uncomfortable with this. The first one is gonna be for the front yard setback for the garage to be only 14 feet from the road that's in front of it. And then the next one is for the building width for the garage to be 26 feet wide instead of 24 feet wide. Now, wait a, I'm confused. Where's the side setback for the garage?
So it's just the front yard and the width. The side setbacks
Oh,
for
the-
the house.
Okay, so the side setback is, the 15 feet that's gonna be fine.
Or, so, for an accessory building, it's, they meet the requirement for.
They
the
don't
side
have
yard
2 front
setback.
yards, they don't have a front yard problem with respect to the private road that's on the south side of the garage.
So Roberts Drive, or the south side of the garage, is where they need the front yard setback variance. On the west side of the garage,
I'm talking about
they
the
meet
south
the
side.
standard.
Is there a variance necessary for the south side of the garage that's only gonna be 15 feet from a street? Isn't that what you said?
So it's. Bear with me a moment, I'm pulling up the plan. Where it's 14 feet away from Roberts Drive.
Yeah, not Roberts. I'm talking about, from Roberts.
From
Sorry.
Roberts, yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the front yard setback variance they're requesting for Russell Drive. They're
Oh.
meeting that requirement.
Okay,
And
now I'm
for the
confused.
side setback, they're meeting it as well. So it's just the width and the Roberts Drive front yard setback under consideration for that accessory building.
But no side yard setback.
Correct.
And does the width then, is that what addresses the distance from Roberts on the south to the structure? Because doesn't it have to meet 2 front yard setbacks
It
on both
does.
Russell and Roberts?
Correct. So they're meeting the Russell front yard setback. Just not
Gotcha.
Russell.
Thought I had this in my mind, and now it's gone. I'm sorry to slow us up here, but
That's all right.
That page, I don't know about page 34 is the one I've been doing, because it's the site plan that shows both properties. Page 34,
Mm,
and then on the right, number 34 of 98.
yeah, this one.
That's that.
oops. Okay. Oh, okay. I can see I had this wrong in my brain. So 25 feet is the minimum amount required from Russell. So they don't need a setback for that. It's the setback from, and if they shrink the garage down from 26 feet wide to 24 feet wide,
They still wouldn't comply.
but they wouldn't need a 14-foot
Correct.
variance,
Would be
16-foot.
Setback
Which
meaning
the
a
other-
4-foot
The
variance.
other drive.
Or the other alternative is we can give them their 14 feet, and if they choose to, they can put the garage a little bit further south and open up the space to the north.
Or we could vote on the garage first and then go back and vote on the second one. Appropriately determined. So votes on the minimum
Okay,
width and then votes on the rest.
I do have a question procedurally. Understanding how these variances operate. They've got a plan before us. It shows him encroaching a certain way. We don't approve that. I'm not presupposing how this
Yeah.
vote turns out. We don't approve that. We then go on to approve the location of a building for which we have no plans. I don't want to make them come back unnecessarily
Right.
for variance a second time. I just want to understand that that's an okay, I'm a process guy, I'm sorry. So we have no drawing of something that complies with, we don't know what they're gonna
Yeah.
build. Exactly. So that's my only,
Good point, because normally, I'm sorry, Brooke, I hope this is okay. Normally, when I do a motion, it'll say something along the lines of substantially shown and described.
exactly.
And so in this case, I would not say that relative to the garage, right? Because we don't know what they're gonna end up with. But are we okay with them creating a garage that's 24 feet wide? You know, and provide, we don't
know. That's exactly,
we wouldn't see it.
exactly.
But would you be okay with that? I mean, in the end, somebody could come years from now, bulldoze the entire garage down and rebuild it, looking totally different, but still within those lines, provided they meet the height and the configuration to fit within the setbacks that the variance granted. So that's why we have to, in some ways, divorce ourselves to some extent from what we see here
Yes,
when giving a variance, right?
yes. And I don't know if you shrink the garage a certain number for, you're just assuming they're gonna shrink the width.
Right.
Maybe they're gonna redesign the whole building.
Maybe
And-
they'll go 42 feet.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. So that's why it gives me pause. I have no
Yeah.
problem trying to answer really Brooke's question to me that I hadn't had time to think about it fast enough. That's my problem, is that I wouldn't, pig in a poke implies something bad, but we don't know what it would be. That's all. Not
Okay.
good precedent.
From an order of operation standpoint here, would it be easier to address the residents first? I know that's not the order in the packet, but just to kind of get warmed up on all these questions and to just kind of make some progress.
If nobody has any objection, we can do,
The 7 O's,
The 7-0, so C, D, and E.
yeah, 707, 702, and 702. C, D, and E.
yeah. Is that, if that works for anyone, or for everyone, we will go with C, D, and E. And so my first question to you all will be approval of the new front yard setback for the principal building being 12 feet instead of 25 feet. The next one will be the north side yard setback being 6 feet instead of 7 feet. And the last one will be the side yard setback on the south side being 2 feet instead of 7 feet. So that's the three questions, front, side, and side.
Are we going vertical or horizontal? Are we gonna go down all one? Or are we gonna do a cross and then do the next question? go
We're gonna,
across?
we're gonna do all of them on each one, practical difficulty
Okay.
followed by,
You're going horizontal.
I am going horizontal. I didn't think of it that way, but that's what I'll be doing, it's going horizontal. So, here's the criteria number one, practical difficulty, 2906C1. The strict application of the terms of the ordinance would constitute a practical difficulty. Tom,
The Waterbury setback?
we're talking about C, D, and E on the list. It's front yard, side yard, and side yard. Yes, this is a front yard setback.
There's no.
Sorry,
There is no
there's
problem with the water
policy.
body setback because it's 35
Yeah.
feet.
You got- I don't have the fingerprints. Okay. Let's CD, we're gonna start with CD.
Oh, we can start on.
Yeah.
Yes,
Would that be 3 yeses?
yes,
Okay,
Yeses for all three, and I'm gonna reiterate what I said back in 2021 regarding this lot. This lot is kind of peculiar in terms of the way that the lot is set up. The dimensions of the lot overall are very small. And this is one of those rare instances where we do have a corner lot that arguably might be a double corner lot, but the interpretation is that it's a corner lot for now. So yes, for all three.
Okay, Sean?
I agree, yes, for all three. Also because of the reduction of non-compliance from the previous structure, understanding they're asking for more, they're trading, but I still feel that, yes, that
Okay, Peter?
makes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and the chair votes yes, yes, and yes as well. Moving along to number 2, physical condition, 2906C2. The physical difficulty is due to the physical condition peculiar to the property involved. And again, it's front yard setback, side yard on the north, side yard on the south. Tom, how do you vote?
3 yeses.
Okay,
3 yeses.
Sean
3 yeses.
and Peter?
Yes, yes, yes.
And the chair votes yes, yes, yes as well. 3, self-created, 2906C3. The practical difficulty is not self-created. Again, front yard, and side yard. Thomas?
3 yeses.
3 yeses.
Sean?
3 yeses.
Peter?
Yes, yes, yes.
And the chair votes yes, yes, and yes as well. Number 4, reasonable amount necessary, 2906C4. The variance is the reasonable amount necessary to mitigate the practical difficulty. Thomas?
3 yeses.
Beth?
3 yeses.
Sean?
3 yeses.
Peter?
Yes, yes, yes.
And the chair votes yes, yes, yes. 5, public health, safety, and welfare, 2906C5. Approval of variance will not be injurious to public health, safety, and welfare. Thomas?
3 yeses.
Beth?
3 yeses.
Sean?
3 yeses.
Peter?
Yes, yes.
And the chair votes yes, yes, yes. 6, adjacent properties, 2906C6. Approval of the variance will not affect the use of adjacent properties or the area in a substantially adverse manner. Thomas?
3 yeses.
Beth?
3 yeses, and I would actually say that due to the alteration in the configuration of the building that's being put on that lot, it's actually probably an improvement regarding the use of the adjacent properties.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Sean
yes.
and Peter?
Yes, yes, yes.
And chair votes yes, yes, yes as well. 7, intent of the ordinance. Approval of the, it's 2906C7. Approval of the variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of the ordinance. Thomas?
Well, I'll admit I'm confused by the intent of the ordinance, but I'll say 3 yeses.
Okay, Beth?
Yes, yes, yes.
John?
Yes, yes, yes.
And Peter?
Yes, yes, yes.
And the chair agrees that's yes, yes, yes as well. So we've dealt with that. Now let's go back and pick up the garage or lay it down. So now this trip through, we're going to look at the front yard setback, which is actually for the side of the garage, not the front of the garage, but the side of the garage of 14 feet instead of 20 feet. And then the other one is the building width for the accessory building. Would anybody like to do that one first, all by itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Let's look at the building width for the accessory building. Should it be 26 feet instead of 24 feet? And we'll start with Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas says yes.
No.
Beth says no. Why does Beth say no?
Again, the ordinance, with the lot being small, the ordinance actually specifically addressed that issue in terms of width. The ordinance says anything less than 60 feet, you can only have a maximum of 24. Here, we're going above that maximum of 24 to 26.
Sean?
No. Reason being, this lot isn't constrained in size. If they were really tight in size, then perhaps, but there is additional space, and they're so close to complying.
Peter? And the chair votes no as well, for the same reason that, Sean enunciated. Then, next one is physical. We don't really have to go on, but we will. Physical condition 2906C2. Practical difficulty is due to some physical condition peculiar to the property involved. Thomas?
Yes.
Beth?
No.
Sean?
No.
Peter?
No.
And the chair votes no as well. 3, self-created 2906C3. The practical difficulty is not self-created. Tom?
Yes.
Beth?
As I don't see a practical difficulty here, I have to answer no, I believe, but we can kind of go through those loops later.
Okay. Sean?
I'm caught in the double negatives again. State it once more for me.
Is the practical difficulty not self-created? Assuming there were a practical difficulty, did they create it?
Just, no.
Wait, I'm sorry.
So
Did they not create it?
not create it.
I mean, isn't that the correct phrasing, Peter?
So let me work backwards on this. I'll give the logic and then we can figure
Okay.
out if this is a yes or no. They made a choice to build a building that is larger than would be allowed. So that is a choice they made. They made that. They put themselves into that condition, which is why they had to apply for this variance.
Okay, so your answer is no.
Correct. No.
Peter?
I'm gonna answer no, because I interpret this
think
to mean
there's a-
there's no practical difficulty, so it must be answered no.
And I'm going to say yes for the opposite reason. Okay, 4, reasonable amount necessary, 2906C4. The variance is a reasonable amount necessary to mitigate the practical difficulty. Thomas?
Yeah.
Beth?
No.
Sean?
So it's a no.
I know. I'm just voting no because
But if it were a different situation, it could not be no. But because of the situation, it's a no.
Okay, Peter?
Know what that just meant, but I'm voting no.
Okay, and I'm gonna vote no as as well. 5, public health, safety and welfare, 2906C5. Approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety and welfare. Thomas?
Yes.
Beth?
I have to vote yes on this because I don't believe we have the evidence in front of us to say otherwise.
I'm a yes also. For the
Okay,
exact same
and
reason.
Peter?
I'm a no, because I don't think they necessarily carried the burden that it wasn't. I think we heard enough testimony to question whether it is, so that's why I voted no.
Okay, and the chair votes yes. 6, adjacent properties, 2906C6. Approval of variance will not affect the use of adjacent properties or the area in a substantially adverse manner. Thomas?
Yes.
Beth?
No.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
No.
And the chair votes no, just to vacillate around a little bit. 7, intent of the ordinance 2906C7. Approval of the variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of this ordinance. Thomas?
Yes.
Beth?
No.
Sean?
No.
Peter? And chair votes no as well. So now we come back to the front yard setback request of, can they be only 14 feet off of the front yard? Is there any further discussion about this consideration before we take a vote on?
I'd be happy with 16. I mean, that's wrong. I would be willing to grant a variance for 16. knowing that we don't have a plan for 16 in front of us, but because the ordinance says 24 feet wide, I'm willing to give them 24 feet wide.
Well, but my question for you is, will you give them 14? As the variance? Can they be that
Is that
close to
the
the front
reason-
yard? They can only be 24 feet wide, but can they slide down and be 14 feet from the road, which is what they've asked for?
Yeah, that's a good question. The reason why I would say no to that is because they don't need a variance relative to the yard to the north though.
Right?
So if we, I prefer that they don't slide around, right? Because to me, that's
Okay, you
not the
don't want to go
reasonable,
some-
right? That's not the reasonable
So-
amount necessary in my
So
opinion.
you're voting to modify the request for the variance.
Yeah.
We're gonna negotiate with them about how
Yeah.
many. You can either have 14 feet, or we could vote yes on 16.
Right.
I would point out though that 16 is still apologies. If they built it at 24 width, which is 2 feet less than what currently is here, which generates that 16, that's not, that doesn't comply automatically.
Right,
Because 20 is the number to comply automatically.
right.
So this,
But again, is it the reasonable amount necessary? I mean, 14 versus 16.
well, that's the yes, no part of it. Just from
yeah, I'm
know our numbers, have our numbers.
Yeah.
Wait,
struggling with
I'm a
that.
little confused about this based on prior discussions about changing the request.
I personally have no problem with it as long as the applicant has no problem with it, because we noticed a larger variance. And so, given that we noticed a larger variance, if we end up at a smaller variance, and this is something Zach used to say, when Zach was our DPZ.
We're fine with that.
You'd go with 16?
They go.
Because just on your last vote, we would just have to come back in 2 months and our variance would be 24 feet wide and 16 feet.
Right.
And I'd just save him, he's retired.
Okay,
Just
Yeah.
save him the money.
Yeah,
all right, so noted on the record that the applicant is prepared to change its request from 14 foot to 16 foot.
I think
The other way around.
my question would be, Peter, I know is really particular about this issue. Peter, what are your thoughts?
I of course am torn because it seems, why should we make them come back?
Right,
But by the same token, I kind of don't like the idea of knowing what it's going to be as a matter of consistency in principle.
I see what you're
But
saying.
foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, not just consistency. So I think maybe it would be foolish to insist on it in this case, when it's pretty clear that.
Yeah, they're
So I think I
gonna
could go along with that.
probably maximize what they can in the
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
One thing I will mention is that with the approval of any variance, staff drafts up a declaration outlining all of the variances granted, any conditions, any changes, and that's recorded with the Washtenaw County Register of Deeds and also reviewed by Township Legal Counsel. So this will all be written down and recorded as well, and we'll have the meeting minutes to reflect what was changed.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go through our criteria one more time. And the thing at issue is a request for a front yard setback for the accessory building of 16 feet instead of 20 feet. Thomas? Beth?
Yes, again, due to the size of the lot and also,
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. So I believe that A, C, D, and E got the requisite number of positive votes. Is there somebody who'd be willing to make a motion?
You only went through one.
Oh, I got tired, sorry. Let me go on.
I'm scorekeeper here.
Thank you so
So wait, there's more.
Thank you so much. There is more. Two, physical condition 2906C2. Thomas? Yeah,
Can I just say yes for 2 through 5?
no. we have-
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 3, self-created 2906C3. The practical difficulty is not self-created. Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 4, reasonable amount necessary 2906C4. The variance is a reasonable amount necessary to mitigate the practical difficulty. Thomas? Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 5, public health, safety and welfare 2906C5. Approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety and welfare. Thomas?
Yes.
Yes.
Sean? Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 6, adjacent properties. Approval of the variance will not affect the use of the adjacent properties or the area in a substantially adverse manner. Thomas? Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 7, intent of the ordinance 2906C7. The approval of the variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of this ordinance. Thomas? Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Peter? Chair votes yes as well, and now that brings us back to where I was some time ago.
Conditions. Conditions.
Anybody want conditions? I think Thomas had suggested a condition. I'm not wildly in favor of it, but others may like it.
So a problem in the Lake community has always been that the front yard is so small that even when a car backs out of it's not in the garage, but just in the driveway, it sticks out into the road. And then when people have guests out there, pretty soon you can only drive one lane, maybe because of cars that are parked along there. And so I think that if we grant something to these folks, we ought to understand that they're going to utilize that empty lot behind them to guarantee at least parking along the, I think it's the west elevation, but the cartoon says the north elevation, the adjacent side of that lot, so that that's left open for parking.
Others may agree. I don't see us having the authority to impose such a requirement.
Well, I understand you don't, but by letting them build so close to the property line, there's no place for cars.
Well, what we're doing is we're inducing them to build not as close to the property line as they're presently located.
I'm well aware of that. But the present system is bad. And all I'm saying is to mitigate what would still be bad, we ought to make sure that the first 20 feet of that lot right across the street is left empty so cars can park there.
I understand your concern because I think it's a very valid one and it makes a lot of sense. Right now, the front yard setback that's required is 20 feet. And if I remember correctly, they're leaving a 25-foot drive across the street to get into the garage. And so even if the garage is 24 feet wide, they're going to be able to at least park 2, if not 3, if you park the way the Phillips park, cars across in front of the garage, plus cars within the garage if it's used for its alleged intended purpose. So in that regard, I think that the issue solves itself. And I don't feel like the condition is necessarily necessary, but your concern is extraordinarily valid because it does get tight down in those lake residential lots, particularly with parking.
Yes.
Unfortunately, It's gonna be really hard for me to say as shown and described in this situation because we don't know right now what that 20-foot width building is going to look like. And they could go, I mean, they could bring that building forward 5 feet and still be within the setback, that front yard setback.
They could move it closer or further west by. Those 20 feet is a minimum setback. It gets a little tricky with the lake lots. The lake lots get that reduction. It's typically 25. But it's.
And so that's certainly enough space to park multiple vehicles.
Any other thoughts on conditions? Do other people want to impose conditions? Not hearing any support for conditions.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion. To approve the following variance request for section 1611B2 of the Dexter zoning ordinance, allowing a front yard setback for an accessory building of 16 feet instead of 20. The variance request for section 7.073 for a front yard setback from Russell, which is the principal building, of 12 feet instead of 25 feet. Of the variance request for section 7.02 of the Dexter Township zoning ordinance from the for side yard setback from the northern lot line of 6 feet instead of 7 feet, as well as a variance for section 7.02 of the Dexter Township zoning ordinance for a side yard setback from the south line of 2 feet instead of 7 feet, and deny the following variance request from section 1611B3 of the Dexter Township zoning ordinance for a building for an accessory building of 26 feet instead of 24 feet in width. Recognizing, for ZBA petition 26 ZBA-005 for the property located at 9109 McGregor Road, Pinckney, Michigan, 48169, parcel ID numbers D0401481012 and D0401482010, recognizing the legal nonconformities.
Is there a second for that? Peter seconds.
Apologies, will you reread the portion regarding the width?
So deny the request for the variance from section 1611B3 of the Dexter Township zoning ordinance for a building for the accessory building of 26 feet instead of the 24. So I'm denying that.
Yeah, I was confused on the dimensions, but
Okay.
that's fine.
We're gonna vote on this now. Thomas? Yeah. Beth?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Congratulations. You're winner of 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And as I always tell people, I know you'll get going on this right away, but be aware that you've got to get it done with it or do something with it within a year or you lose it. Okay? So work with the director.
Well, with the neighbor, we'll make sure.
Yeah, do what you can for them because they had good
That's
pictures
it.
of.
I mean, every house I tell people that because it's not. It's always.
Yeah, and when if I give you my neighbor's address, could you come and offer him your same services of kind of digging a hole in his yard so that his water could go somewhere?
Oh, we've done that before because you get these lots, like, okay, how do we get water to drain across that road and all that? And we just said, you know what, let's create a under building retention. Now, if you had regular footings, that might be harder because you're washing all that water in the footing, but when you're on helical piers, which is a good beat, you don't have to worry.
Cool. All right. I think we can move on to elsewhere in our agenda now. I
Seconded that.
I think that the motion was seconded by Peter. All right. I believe you moved the approval of the minutes down to,
After.
so ready. Would you fellows like to talk to us about anything else? Okay. All right. Well, we're to the section of the meeting that is public
I
hearing.
told them in the beginning, I go, the 26th is gonna be the rough one. That's what it was.
Those ways.
All right. Good night.
But,
Thanks.
that's why you told it. You don't provide a home,
Very good.
and nobody planted parking in that area you talked about,
Good.
you know, from the garage to the road. I know the.
I understand what your intent is. I don't know what the next person's intent is.
Well, it's gonna be glass, they put all the kind of glass. Fine. I'd rather not have gravel. I don't say, first like this, and then I'll lose, so,
Okay. Very good.
okay.
All right. Seeing no members of the public left, we can move on to discussion of the direction regarding meeting minute preparation. Are you going to be addressing us on this point?
Well, I will start off by saying I provided all of you with some supplemental material. One is why the board established the clerk minute transcription process. And the other is how it's implemented, along with some information on budget concerns for fiscal year 2027. I'm not an expert in meeting minute taking. Janice, our recording secretary, is. But this group in particular, at the last meeting, had some concerns and wanted more information on how this works, why we're doing it, what the budget looks like, etc. But I believe Janice would be best off answering any specific questions you have on how this process works.
Okay. I don't know if other people have questions about what we got. Do any of you have things you want to ask of the Director of Planning and Zoning?
I had just a simple question, which could probably go either direction, which is just the fact that this says approved on March 17th. Approved by who for what? Does that mean that it is set in stone?
So the board approved this policy.
The Board of
Right.
Trustees, okay.
However, the supervisor allowed boards and commissions the option to pick which method of minute taking they prefer, with knowing budget constraints. essentially.
Well, so my question, having read over this, which is pretty broad brush, is in making its decisions, did the Board of Trustees have actual numbers that they were looking at about, well, this costs this much and this costs this much, and having somebody in the office first feed the data into clerk's minutes and moving it around, that's going to cost us $25.37 each time they do it. Is that the level of calculation that went into this process? Or is this sort of a general administrative feeling of, here's how we're going to save some money. We're going to spend $3,000 and we're going to hire somebody else, but then we're going to save money because I don't know why.
So ultimately, it costs $3,000 a year for this service.
Yep.
Our office assistant, Beth, runs the software during her time in the office.
Okay, but
She's-
does she have other things that she does?
She does.
And
It doesn't
when
take.
not doing this, does she have other things she could do if she were doing this?
That's true.
Okay,
Essentially, Beth takes about an hour or less out of
Okay.
her day after these meetings conclude to throw the recording and the packet into the software. The software spits out the short version, medium version, and long version, or the AI does. And then that is sent to recording secretary Janice to make any revisions necessary to accurately reflect what
Okay.
occurred at that meeting. So the intent was, to lower the burden on Janice specifically, or to make it more efficient of a process.
okay. And then my next question is, contrary to what is in here, I assume somebody knows that the requirement is that the draft minutes have to be published within 8 business days after the hearing, not within 8 days, which is what is in the approved policy. About midway on the second page, it says there has to be compliance within 8 days. It's actually 8 business days. And most, also, it seems to me, having looked at the ordinance, that the document that gets sent to Janice from clerk's minutes could qualify as meeting that draft requirement, that it doesn't have to have been processed by Janice. It would be the first level of draft that comes out, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know what the attorneys say, but it seems to me like there's no requirement that it be a final draft that is available to the public in 8 days. It's just a draft. So if you wanted to lower the burden on the recording secretary, you could tell her, don't worry, we'll treat the clerk's minutes as the draft. And our only obligation is to publish the final within 5 days after they're approved by the body. Does that seem logical and something that the Board of Trustees would be aware of, interested in, concerned about?
Well, the first thing it does is it says that it has to, that Janice sends it to the secretary. And if the secretary wasn't at the meeting that night, there's no way that they can edit the thing. They have to either accept it or just, it needs, if the secretary isn't at the meeting, then the board has to appoint an acting secretary that night to complete the circle. And what my question is, if this is in place and the secretary is here, when can the board get a copy of this thing so that they can decide whether they approve it or disapprove? I mean, they're not going to vote, but they're going to look at it and they're going to recall, but not a month later, maybe. So my question to you is, what's the earliest that you think you can disperse this new method to the board secretary? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
You're talking about after I look at it and edit it.
After you-
when I send it to the board secretary.
Yeah, I want to know how long it's going to take before you get it and complete what you do. How many weeks?
It usually takes 4 days.
3 or 4
Business
days?
days before I get it and edit and send it off.
Okay,
So then Peter has 4 days to review it and get it back to me to meet the 8-day requirement.
But I don't think that's necessary.
No,
That's not what the board of trustees is.
no.
no.
Well, then I think that there should be at least a little bit of conversation with the Board of Trustees about how does at least the ZBA have to comport itself? I mean, what we have always done in the past is we've always gotten a proposed Janus completed version of the minutes for us to consider at our next meeting,
No,
No?
no. No. My minutes are not presented to you, they're presented to Peter, and then Peter edits it, and it comes back to me, and then, the director of planning and zoning includes it in your packet. It's a combination of my edits and Peter's.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misspoke, but my point is that prior to the next meeting, we have the combined efforts of the two of you. And that's been the way it's been for a long time. And that has always taken place within 30 days if it was necessary to take place within 30 days. So I'm
Assuming there's a meeting next month.
that's right, but suppose there isn't. Then if we treat the clerk's minutes as the draft that complies with the Open Meetings Act, then the rest of our timing is of no consequence as long as we're prepared to publish the final version within 5 days after it's been approved by the ZBA.
And that process follow-up, after you approve minutes, I go in either that night, if it's simple, I make the edits. I send them off to Sam, so they are put on the website, published the
Yeah,
next
so
day.
we're fully compliant in all respects, other than if the Board of Trustees has decided that the draft has to be the final draft as opposed to a draft, which is what my research, I'm not an expert on this, but I did look at the statute, just says it has to be a draft.
This,
But it's
this
a draft
policy
that's
calls for a
submitted
much
to the
more
board
detailed
for
draft to be done within
for
8 days. It's
approval, yeah.
ridiculous.
And
It's gotta
if
go
we're
to
doing
their.
some September or October next, how can you expect everybody to accurately remember what they should remember?
Well, what would you propose?
I would propose that the members of the board get something within 3 weeks. And they get it, and all I have to do is read through it and make some notes if they need to. And then when the board meets, then they can do something.
So your suggested tweak on our circumstance here is that even though we might not have a meeting in August, not scheduled to have a meeting in August, in the ordinary course of things, Janice and Peter are going to finish their work on the minutes within 30 days of this meeting, and you'd like their finished draft mailed out to people within 30 days,
Yes,
which I think without anybody breaking a sweat could be done. Am I right about that, Janice? I mean, you're going to be done with your processing of tonight's activities about 30 days from now, because you would have done that in case there was a meeting in August.
because it has to be 30 days. Can it be done in 24 days?
Well, I don't want to crack the whip over Janice.
So you're talking about sending out draft after Peter and I have done
Yeah.
our stuff, sending out the draft immediately
Yeah,
versus waiting until it goes in the board back.
Yeah,
Is that what you're?
that's what Tom is asking for. And
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
see that would be a difficult thing to do.
Yeah. What do you think, Peter?
That's not difficult, but I don't think the expectation should be that everyone then starts emailing you back to change this and change that, because
no,
then.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. If all you wanted is for information purposes, when you send it to the ZA.
Tom, what Tom is saying is memories are fresh within
Yeah.
a week or two. If they get the draft, they can make their notes And then when they come to the meeting, they can say, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that's a plan. But I think that the policy ought to be
Next.
reviewed a little bit.
Yes.
And I don't know how we should communicate that to the Board of Trustees. but-
The requirement that the recording secretary take what the software has done it. To conduct a review of what they've done to ensure accuracy, completeness, and compliance. And then send it to me she might not get it for a couple or 3 business days. It's not gonna be done in 8 days. Completeness and all that.
And at least excuse me, implication, this policy is that it's all being pressed on us by the Open Meetings Act, which I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah. It's not what it
No,
says.
it's a Michigan case law that states it has to be available to anybody who wants the minutes in 8 days, 8 business.
No, there's an ordinance that says 8 business days, and it says a draft. It doesn't say
Is draft defined anywhere?
no. It's very open-ended.
Yes.
It's just a draft. And so when you have your first draft, you've got your thing that
The magic box.
the magic box produces,
Yeah.
that's it. And actually, it sounds to me like we'll have 3 drafts. We'll have the short form, the medium form, and the long form.
Actually, we only picked one.
Oh, which one do we get?
They
do we
will
do?
produce 3, but we picked one. I usually use the medium.
Okay,
And the minutes that you're looking at tonight, last month's meeting. Peter, would you say 70% of it was AI?
Probably something like that, yeah.
That's excellent.
was that helpful to you?
70% of it was AI. I put all of my edits and corrections in red and sent them off to Peter.
Okay.
One of the problems that the AI is having problems with is the matrix.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to be granted hours to do this, to sit down and talk to Beth about how we could tweak the AI to do the matrix the way you guys help matrix.
Okay, but my question for you, Janice, is that do you see a flaw in my logic that says we don't have to work this fast?
No, I like your logic. I like that, using the AI draft.
Yeah, I
as
mean,
our
it might not be
draft
great,
for the
but
public.
that we're just complying, it's
Now,
there.
if you look at it and there's a glaring error that you could, quickly see, this is wrong date or something, you correct that, but then,
I wouldn't go that far because then that always puts her in the position of having.
Oh, you
to
approved
sit
it.
Through it, yeah, she did something. We just say, look, we're not responsible. This is AI, here it is.
Yep. I agree.
Fletcher, are you gonna be able to take this to board of trustees?
I don't really know what you all are asking.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
I ultimately, the question was, which method do we want to do? First method is go back to the old school way, which is just you doing it within your budget, or 2, using clerk minutes as a draft template, editing it, and then going through the process the way it has been done. I don't know about doing a hybrid
Well, here's my,
approach to all of
here's
this,
my
but
question.
we can talk about it, I guess.
and as I went through this and read the policy, it's clear that the Board of Trustees has fiscal constraints that they are wanting to comply with, and good for them, they're spending our money. And we're not in a position to analyze the accuracy of their determination about the fiscal constraints. I don't know if Janice is driving a Rolls Royce these days. I don't keep that close a track on her. And so I don't know how much all of this is costing us. I don't know how much all of this is saving us. And so for me to say, I want to go back to the old way, but with whatever budgetary constraints the township wants to put on Janice, that's between her and them. I mean, I don't know what their idea of here's what we ought to pay Janice ought to be. I can say that I always liked the old method, but if there's ways to save money
And is good a quality.
and get as good a quality, I don't have a problem with clerk's minutes being invoked. I do have a problem with the township saying that within 8 days of our meeting, that Janice has to complete her tasks, because I don't think she does. And that's the only input I have back, and I don't know whether that's, whether the rest of the board agrees with that or
I
not.
mean, that's well said.
Yeah.
But that's my only thought is, we always loved the way Janice did it. We aren't in a position to put fiscal limits on what Janice gets paid or doesn't get paid. If they think they can save money with clerk's minutes, that's fine, but don't tell us or Janice that they're doing it because the final product has to be out the door in 8 days after our meeting.
Well, I'm sure the supervisor and the board would be open to amendments to this policy, but I do believe Janice and the supervisor worked hand in hand on this policy. Isn't that right, Janice?
Would it be helpful for you, since you're just kind of in the middle of it?
Yeah.
Would it be helpful for you to call Lonnie and just express these same concerns to him on our behalf? I mean, I don't think that this is,
Wait a minute.
I mean, I'm fine with them trying to save money. I just think that when they adopt a policy, it ought to not put undue restraints on the system that don't have to be there.
Who's our representative?
That would be me.
So I think you can go. I'm gonna propose something. Our duly appointed representative might want to go speak to the Board of Trustees on the,
I was thinking of just talking to the supervisor.
fair enough.
If I run into Karen working in her garden, I'll go pay her a visit. Just mention this
Okay.
issue.
Okay,
Might not see it.
is she a neighbor?
Excellent.
Oh, okay,
That's how
Okay.
my wife and I hold high office.
I see, okay. So and I think that's probably a good way for us to communicate back with the supervisor.
Well, you're talking about AI minutes formatting and what's content versus my formatting and content. What I sent Peter was 70% AI content in your minutes tonight.
Okay,
You have to approve tonight. I just juiced it up a little bit here and there.
okay,
And if you guys would like to compare the final product that you have in your hands tonight with what I sent Peter and all these edits, I would gladly print it out for each of you.
honestly, I don't really need to see how the sausage is made, as long as it tastes good at the end.
Well, I just wanted to show you that we can work at it.
Okay, so you're not adverse to the clerk's minutes and are happy to try to help the township save money if they think that this system can save them money. Okay,
I will add one comment, which is the same comment I've added over on the planning commission side of things too. If this is not, AI is coming no matter what, and at some point, so is Janice's retirement. So if this gives us a chance to train the AI and or the people or the processes or whatever, so that when Janice retires, although who knows, at this rate, you're gonna serve all of us in these committees.
I'm not yet ready to assume that on Janice's retirement, we'll be completely happy with turning ourselves over to clerk's minutes.
Me neither.
Okay.
But I would rather Janice be involved in the process of getting us there than not. So if there's an opportunity through all of this, understanding that she has the experience and the history and the trust, And at the same time, knowing that something, whether it's this version of the software or some other software is going to come to us, that we just take advantage of this opportunity for her to be involved in that process.
Thank you for that. Because I would really like to work with that on tweaking the clerk's minutes so that it does an accurate job to reflect what I do.
Well, and I think that this fine point that's been brought up about what is a draft maybe gives us an opportunity. You know, if it turns out that draft can be the simplest version to meet the rule, and then that still gives time to do things the way we need to, then it kind of maybe hits both the budget goals and the time goals, along with the legal responsibilities. Cool, you know, there is a way to
It'd be a great,
do something that way. I do at the same time and putting trust in Lonnie and the board that they're looking at the big picture and moving everything in a cohesive direction. So I'm trusting that through all of this, we can navigate to a solution.
Well, now that we've had that discussion and have a plan, I think our final thing that we have to do under this item is to consider approval of the June minutes.
I have an amendment.
Oh, to the June minutes?
Potentially, yeah. So on page 3 of our current packet, which is the first page of the minutes, item 1, total quality construction. I think it was Scott, not Scoot.
I like Scoot.
And then also I noticed, yep, it's the first page of the minutes, page 3 of our packet. So when you look at action items, action item number 1, total quality construction, I believe it was Scott Lewis, not Scoot Lewis. Although that'd be a cool name. Another issue that arose in my review of the minutes, I was really on the ball today, was on page 7. There were some markups there. With regard to the motion that I made. And there are some strike throughs that we need to address. Yeah. So I noticed that there was a strike through for Lou. And it said instead strike through Lou.
Oh,
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th line.
43%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So we can,
strike out.
yeah, we can actually remove that. I mean, I might have actually said in lieu, but because I was working off a template that said that, but that's okay. Instead conveys the same meaning, I think, and I don't think it. Sure it did.
And I struck through stuff and I
Okay.
put it in bed and I sent it to Peter.
Okay.
I forgot to delete it.
Okay. No, and then another one that looks like it was struck through was 2 lines down from that correction, allowing a lot coverage. It should be there.
Yep.
It's not a lot.
You read these closely.
I really did. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I knew that I want my motions. Yeah.
So you had it good, you just didn't say accept changes.
Well, no, for that one, I didn't want the strike through though.
Oh, you did?
Allowing a
Oh,
lot
a lot
coverage.
Oh,
I mean, you could say allowing lot coverage, but that seems really weird to me without an.
oh, so you
article
did want to
introducing
say
it.
A.
I did want
Oh.
to say A there. And those are the changes. The only other change that I initially circled and then forgot that Sean's last name is Smith. Was on page 8. But that one does not need to be altered. I believe
Okay.
that is the correct Smith in
Okay,
that location.
very good.
I don't know why I keep on doing that, but thank you.
All right.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes with those amendments.
Second.
Sean seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? They're approved. Any concerns by zoning board of appeals members, the director of planning and zoning, and the recording secretary? We'll start with you, Janice. Do you have any concerns that we haven't already aired this evening?
No, but I want to thank the board for the discussion on the clerk's minutes. Because we are going forward with clerk's minutes and it will take me time upfront to work with Beth to get it to a place where we're gonna save money, because we're not saving money right now.
Okay, sounds good. And can I ask, where is the planning commission on this?
I don't remember where we ended up, to be honest.
Okay,
It was a long night.
It was.
very good.
I said the same thing I did in that one.
Okay, Fletcher, do you have any issues that you'd like to air at this time? This is time for airing of grievances.
So I just want to make sure I took away all of this discussion tonight accurately. So it sounds like we all understand the clerk meeting or the clerk minutes process. We know how that works, but we do have some remaining questions as to, why the policy was written the way it is, specifically with the 8-day timeline, putting that,
Yep,
timeline on Janice. But we just want to fine tune that and move forward with the system.
Yep.
Just in a better way for Janice and everyone involved.
and we've got Tom's suggestion thrown in there, which maybe the Board of Trustees doesn't care about, but that if within 30 days or even 24 days or whatever of the meeting, once Janice is completed with her process, even if there's not a meeting coming up, the draft minutes could be circulated so people can remember what they said.
So what you're kind of saying is like, yep, we have a requirement, 8-day requirement, but it could just be the AI generation, but
Yep.
then we take as much time as we need between meetings to hammer out,
Yep, and when
the
we get
changes.
there, it's still gonna be done within 30 days because the whole process assumes that we might have a next meeting in 30 days. And once that is completed, then those draft minutes, either as part of the agenda for the next meeting, will go out, or else if there is no next meeting, they'll go out anyway.
Actually, Brooke, it's 21 days,
Okay,
because it has to go in the board packet that week before the.
Okay.
So subtract 7.
Be-
30
Tom will
days.
like that even better.
Yeah. I do have two points just to add to what you said already. One is it should be 8 business days. That's what the
8 business.
thing says, the act says. And unless the Board of Trustees is aware of something that overrides that usage of the word business days, we should have business. Two, if we're going to do this regarding the minutes, the whole 30-day thing, it's kind of like in the nebulous and it's not really like any part of procedure or anything like that. And so the question becomes, do we go through and review our procedure that hasn't been modified since June 4th of 2013 and memorialize this in our own operating rules? Brooke's not concerned about that.
Whatever, seems fine.
Okay,
Seems fine. Send us a draft of the new
a potential
rules of
modification.
procedure.
Okay.
Fix everything that's wrong and send it out to us.
You don't want me doing that.
I do, as long as it's in red line.
I will let this group know that I worked with the planning commission for 6 meetings, bylaw amendments, and every meeting there would be more suggestions and changes. And it took half a year to hammer those out.
Marty's been gone this bit. Anymore.
I think a lot of, I like our rules of operation. I don't have much of a problem with them. But that's because if we changed them, I'd have to remember what the new rules were.
Well, it'd just be Article 8, I think would be the only article that I would want to even consider touching.
Okay, any
Okay.
other things from you, Fletcher?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, if you're gonna do edits, I just wanna see what you're doing. These,
Sure.
you're gonna send them out to everyone.
Proposals?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanna see what you're.
Are there any other concerns for members of the ZBA this evening, other than that we're taking too long?
We won't have a meeting in August unless somebody wants a special meeting.
Okay,
The application deadline has been
Okay.
passed, yeah.
Very good. Well, any other comments? Hearing none. We're adjourned.
Janice.
Anthony.